Money moves fast. AI moves faster. My name is Steven Diamond, and welcome to the Diamond Standard. Clear, sharp, unbreakable. Convenience didn't just change how you spend money, people. It changed how you experience reality because money is no longer something you interact with. It's something that moves without you feeling it. And when you remove the feeling, you remove the feedback. That's the first distortion. Call this friction collapse. The moment where effort disappears, but behavior stays the same. Your brain was designed for a world where every financial action required energy, time, movement, attention. Now it requires nothing. So the system speeds up, but your awareness doesn't. That gap is where control breaks because when friction collapses, consumption accelerates. Not because you want more people, but because nothing is slowing you down anymore. You don't pause, you don't guess, you don't process, you just execute. And execution without awareness is how people lose money without understanding how it happened. This creates a second layer, perception drift, where your sense of spending no longer matches reality. You believe you're stable because nothing feels extreme. There's no longer a moment in time, no single decision, no obvious mistake, just small actions repeated, frictionless until the outcome shows up later. But by then, it feels confusing because your memory doesn't match the result. You don't remember losing money, people. You remember normal behavior. That's the trap because convenience hides accumulation. It disguises repetition and it makes consistent leakage feel invisible. Now, layer something deeper on top of this, people. Outcome illusions, where you judge your financial situation based on your results instead of process. Look at your bank account, your lifestyle, your current position, you assume it reflects your decision, and it doesn't fully because every outcome is a mix of behavior, the environment, luck, and risk. And most people only see one part of the equation. They see themselves. They don't see the system. They don't see the timing. They don't see the randomness that's happening. So they build confidence or insecurity or incomplete information. And that's dangerous because confidence built on luck leads to it leads to insecurities beyond risk, leads to hesitation, both distinct behavior further away, and is not even stable. This is where the luck and risk enter the system, not as ideas, but as invisible forces shaping outcomes in the background. Luck is not when things happen in your favor without truly controlling why. Risk is when things move against you without you fully controlling why. There are not opposites, there are reflections of the same uncertainty operating in different directions. Call this the dual force uncertainty, where every force outcome exists on a spectrum between what you did and what happened to you. Now, here's where most people fail. They assign meaning too quickly. If something works, they assume skill. If something fails, they assume mistake. But reality is rarely that clean. A good decision is produce a bad outcome. A bad decision is produce a good outcome. You know, in a frictionless system, this becomes even more dangerous because speed removes reflection. So now outcomes appear faster, but understanding doesn't catch up. So, which leads to narrative construction, where your brain creates a story, people, to explain what happened, even when it's wrong. You say, I'm good with money because things are working, or I'm bad with money because things aren't. But both can be false because you're not accounting for luck. You're not accounting for the risk. You're not accounting for the system you're inside of. And this is exactly what creates financial stability over time because behavior starts adjusting to a false belief. Now, connect this back to the convenience because convenience amplifies both sides. When luck is present, convenience accelerates consumption. You know, you make more, so you spend more. Faster, easier, with less resistance. Are you kidding me? You interrupt success as control. But it may not be the timing. It may be the environment. It may be the accesses, but you don't see that. You expand your lifestyle, you increase your baseline, you normalize higher spending. And this creates expectations expansion when your definition is normalized without you even knowing. So now your system requires more money And that's where the risk becomes dangerous, people, because when conditions change, your structure is already stretched. Income drops, opportunity shift, unexpected events happens, people, and suddenly the same system that feels stable breaks completely. Not because your behavior suddenly changes, but because it was never built to handle variations of what you built. So it was built on a moment of luck, sustained by convenience and masked by the perception. And that's the full loop. Friction collapse leads to perception drift, leads to outcome illusion, leads to narrative construction. These are the words, leads to expectation expansion. And when risk shows up, it exposes everything all at once. And this is why two people can live the same lifestyle, make the same income, spend in the same way, and end up in completely different positions. One experienced more favorable conditions, the other experienced more resistance, but neither fully sees it. So both build beliefs based on incomplete data. Now, take this deeper because this is where people mislearn. They study extreme outcomes. They study billionaires. They study failures. They try to extract lessons. But extreme outcomes are heavily influenced by extreme luck and extreme risk. So, which makes them unreliable models. Call this outcome distortion, where people copy visible behavior without understanding invisible forces. You see someone succeed and you copy what they do, but you can't copy timing. You can't copy environment. You can't copy probability. So you replicate the behavior, but not the conditions. But then when you confuse, when the outcome doesn't match, this creates frustration because effort feels disconnected from the results. But the missing variable is randomness. Now bring it back to the money, people, because this is where everything connects. Financial stability is not built on perfect decisions. It's built on resilient behavior, behavior that can survive both luck and risk, because both will happen. Neither can predict with precision. So the goal is not control the outcomes. The goal is to control the exposure to spend, the exposure to frictionless decisions, the exposure to systems that remove awareness. Because let's say the faster the money moves, the less you understand it, and the less you understand it, the money you rely on outcome. The outcomes are influenced by forces you can't even see, people. So this is the only stable position, is to slow down the system mentally, behaviorally, structurally, not by rejecting convenience, people, but by understanding it, by recognizing that every easy action still carries a real consequence. And if you decide to feel it, this creates a consciousness resistance where you introduce awareness into a system that removed it, not physically, but mentally. You pause, you elevate, you observe patterns instead of reacting to the moments. Because patterns reveal truth. Moments create illusion, and this is where clarity begins, people. When you stop judging yourself based on short term outcomes and start observing long term behavior across different conditions, good times, bad times, high income, low income. Come on, people, stability, uncertainty. Because if your system only works when everything is going right, it doesn't work. It's just surviving on luck, people. And if it collapses the moment pressure appears, it was never stable to begin with. So that's the reality most people never confront, because convenience makes everything feel fine. It's like 7-Eleven all over again until it isn't. And by the time it isn't, the structure is already exposed. So the real skill is not making perfect decisions, people, is building the behavior that remains consistent. So even when the conditions change, when the outcomes don't match the effort, even when luck disappears and risk shows up, because that's when the truth of your system is revealed. Not when things are easy, people, but when things become uncertain. And that's where the awareness matters. That's where the behavior matters. That's where control actually exists. And once you see that, you stop chasing outcomes completely. You stop comparing yourself to extreme examples. You stop building identity around temporary results. You start focusing on something far more stable, your relationship with money under every condition, because that's the only thing that's happening right now. You actually control once again. My name is Steven Diamond, and this is the Diamond Standard. Clear, sharp, unbreakable. Let's get to work, people.